Hey, what is going on guys, this is Tharshey and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the best build for Boromir in Lord of the Rings Rise to War. So hope you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please do drop a like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn those post notifications. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So, Boromir, son of Denethor, brother to Faramir. Boromir, obviously, he's the older brother, the one that was loved more. And yeah, today we're going to see just how well he does in Rise to War as a commander, what troops you should use with him, what gear you should use with him, and what skills you should be using with him. So obviously, a quick disclaimer, I'm assuming that everyone who's watching this video has him at least at Respect 5, and I also assume that you guys have put the 4 extra points in from imparting wisdom, so that he does have those 4 extra skill points. So in total, you should be running with 59 skill points. And I'm obviously also assuming that you guys have him at level 50, which will give you those 50 skill points from leveling up. Anyway, the first thing I'm going to talk about is troops. So later on, you're going to see the skills, and based on those skills, all you're going to want to run with Boromir is a full army of men, okay? You're not going to want to run elves, dwarves, anything else. You're going to want to run an army of men. What that is, whether it's in terms of, what type troops, you can choose yourself, though I would recommend a good mix, something like some guards of the tower along with some sharpshooters, So you need something for your damage, so probably sharpshooters or another ranged unit, or maybe even, I guess you could put some Dunedain as a frontline if you want. That's really up to you. But yeah, mix in some range like sharpshooters with some frontline units, whether it's cav like cataphracts, or whether it's something like guards of the tower, or whether it's something like the Dunedain. That is up to you. And when I say Dunedain, I just mean ranges, guys. So we go over here to this and we click build, and we go over to the men barracks. I'm literally just talking about these guys, okay? The Dunedain, yeah. So they're from the Ranger training grounds. So that is probably the army that you're going to want to run, okay, with Boromir. You're going to want to run mixed range and melee. Melee for the front line, for the tanks, something like Guards of the Tower or Dunedain, and some sharpshooters for range. Next, in terms of gear, well, if you look at him, right, basically all his skills have to do with men, buffing men units, and he's a army buff commander, though you can also build him as a damage commander, right? But we're going to mainly focus on him being something like an army buff commander. And because of that, we're going to try to get gear that buffs your army. So for your weapon, you're probably going to want to run something like a cutlass. The reason for this is because it gives you might speed and it gives you unit attack for melee. So this will increase the attack of your guards of the tower or your Dunedain troops or your cataphracts, whatever you decide to use. However, if you are running a lot of range or something, then you may want to go for something like a Mirkwood bow, which gives attack to ranged, okay? So you're going to want to try focus on gear that gives you attack for your army, increases your army attack or even your army HP, because more HP is great. But if you can, just go for full-on attack. So if you do have 1 or 2 pieces to give HP or defense, that is also okay. So something like a Mirkwood bow or a cutlass would be great, unless you have something that just gives army attack, right? So like a gigantic hammer gives might, and it just gives attack to army, right? It doesn't specify ranged or melee, so it will give an attack to both your range and melee troops. For your chest piece, well, this you can go for something that will give you attack like a Ranger Shroud, right? It gives you might speed and it gives you ranged attack, so that'll be great for your archers. It will increase their attack. But you can also go for something like a quilted armor with focus protection, or a superior halberd with fire protection. So as you can see, this gives you might and defense, right? And this just gives you might, focus, speed, no defense, no HP, no attack. However, the reason why you can use one of these two is because focus protection is great against so many commanders, especially if you're fighting good. If you're fighting evil, it's also pretty helpful because a lot of evil commanders do have focus damage skills. And if you are fighting against a Witch King or another commander or unit that does a lot of fire damage, then having fire protection on your superior halberd, it can definitely be helpful. So this is kind of up to you, whether you want to go for something like a quilted armor and superior halberd, whether you want to go for something more like a Ranger Shroud or another piece of gear that gives you army attack or HP. Next, for your helmet, well, this, you're pretty much just going to want to go with something like a full helm that just gives you a whole lot of commander might. Increasing your commander might obviously increases his damage and increases the damage of your units. You can also go for something that gives you like this, might speed and unit defense with mounted units is if you're using cataphracts, right? Though some people will still use this just for the ability for resolve, because this gives you 3 rounds of no madness. So 3 rounds madness immunity is pretty good thing to have. You can also use something like this, which gives you might and increases the defense of your melee units, which makes them tankier, which is great. Or you could go with something with like a trapper's hood, which will give you more attack to your ranged units. In terms of your accessory, something honestly like an Enshroud Calabash is perfect. Gives you might and it gives you a whole lot of army HP, which increases the health of your ranged units, your melee units, everything in your army, which is amazing. Though if you don't have that, you can go for something like a hit lane, which gives you might, focus, and army HP again. Or if you can, if you do want, because let's say you're running mostly a lot of ranged units, so like maybe 4,500 sharpshooters with a front line of cataphracts, Dunedain, guards of the tower, etc. Then you could run something like Wizard's Firework along with a whole lot of other ranged attack gear that will basically just make your sharpshooters deal a whole lot of damage. So that is up to you. Next, let's go on to his skills and have a look at that. So obviously you have 59 skill points, as I said, and it's very simple. All you want to do is first you're going to want to max out High Warden of the White Tower. So this is against 20 main targets, deals, well, at base level 11.6% physical damage. Obviously once you upgrade that will increase, and the max level effect is it increases the damage caused by the skill and it prioritizes melee targets. So prioritizing melee targets, I mean, not really the greatest, though I guess if you're going up against like the fire guys that on Witch Kings, I forget the names right now, but if you're going up against those guys, I guess this is okay. But the more important part of the max level effect is increasing the damage caused by the skill, and this triggers every second round. So this is a lot of commander damage that's going to be coming in and hitting the opponent. So you're going to want to max out High Warden of the White Tower. That's going to be 15 points. Now you're going to put your next 15 points into here, which is every round allied units defense plus at base 0.4 and it stacks 1s per round. Basically, this is just going to increase the defense of your units, and the defense is going to keep stacking every round. So really good skill, make sure you have it. It's going to make your units a whole lot tankier against physical damage, and yeah, you're going to just be able to survive longer. And the max level effect, it gives you more focus, which is decent, I guess. Next, you're going to want to max out Nobility. The reason for this is next level, so men damage dealt plus 3%, and max this does do 21% of bonus damage. And this is extremely important because your entire army is a army of men units. Sharpshooters are men, cataphracts are men. Guards of the tower, Dunedain, they're all men units. And this is going to increase the damage of your entire army by 21% at max. So this is definitely something that you're going to need. Next, you're going to want to go for the Horn of Gondor. And for the first 3 rounds, commander and allied units damage plus 1.3%. Obviously, that's going to be increased to something much better when it's 15 out of 15. And max level effect is might plus 15. So you're going to want to max out the Horn of Gondor because this is going to increase the damage of your commander and your allied units. So it's going to increase your entire army's damage plus your commander's damage for the first 3 rounds by quite a lot. So you're going to want to max out the Horn of Gondor. It's something that you definitely need to have in this build. Finally, you're going to want to max out lower defenses. And this is on hit against enemy army, 50% chance to receive an additional 4.2% damage. Obviously, that will be increased by 7 times as you upgrade the skill. And this is basically just going to allow you to possibly get in that extra damage every time you attack. And obviously, it's on hit, right? So against the enemy army. So every time you hit the enemy army with an attack, there's going to be a 50% chance, which is not bad. 50-50, it's not too bad. It'll trigger pretty often. And it'll be a 50% chance to receive a whole bunch of additional damage. So it's something you're going to want to do because it's just, it's just some extra damage coming from the skill. So to recap this entire video, right? In terms of army, what you're going to want to run is a full army of men, something like sharpshooters with a front line of Dunedain, guards of the tower, cataphracts, etc. Something tanky that's also going to be able to do some decent damage. In terms of gear, you're going to want to go for a gear that buffs your army's attack or HP or defense, though you can also pick gear that gives you focus protection, burn protection, madness protection, stun immunity, etc. if you have that. Something that you can run is a cutlass or a Mirkwood bow, something like a gigantic hammer if you have it, as that gives an army attack to the entire army. In terms of your chest piece, you can go for something like a Ranger Shroud, or something else that gives you army defense, or you can go for something like a quilted armor or superior halberd, which just gives you gives you the might and the defense, and this gives you might, focus, and speed. But more importantly, the effect is the focus protection and the fire protection. For the helmet, you can go for something like a Horseman's Helm if you want that madness or the stun immunity. If not, you can go for something like a Trapper's Hood, or even a Case Scuff Pride, or a full helm. It just depends on you whether you were trying to buff that ranged attack by a whole lot. If you are, then something like Trapper's Hood would be better. But if you need madness immunity or something, then go with something like a Horseman's Helm, which does give you that. In terms of accessory, you can go with an Inch Rod Calabash, which actually be perfect, gives you might, a whole lot of army HP. If you don't have that, something like a Hit Lane, which everyone should have one lying around, which gives you might, focus. Hopefully you have the heal skill on it, so it gives you some health, and it also gives you army HP. Or if you want to go with just more ranged attack, you can use something like a Wizard's Firework. In terms of your skills, you're going to want to max out High Warden of the White Tower, which is 15 points, Air, which is 15 points, Horn of Gondor, which is 15 points, so that's 45 points, and then your next 14 points is going to go into Nobility and Lower Defenses, and that will give you a total of 59 points, which is all the skill points you will have, unless you do have him at a higher respect level. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this video, please do drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on those post notifications. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.